It's recovery time, stability time.
Yeah.
What's that word? They say it should be optimistic, cautiously optimistic.
Cautious optimism.
Optimism.
Yes.
So this is cautious pessimism because the 2-week ceasefire, we are not seeing it mostly. Yeah. Things are getting worse, especially at the Strait of Hormuz now. The United States...
How many ships are going through at this point?
The United States has actually stopped movements near the ports of Iran. So, I mean, that's it. Going through the Strait of Hormuz, I think they said 100 and something in a place that actually allows transport of about 20% of oil and gas for the global economy. So, this is not cautious optimism. This is cautious pessimism.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting how the markets reacted, yesterday, looking at major risk assets recovering, after being battered on Monday. It's almost like we're getting the same play most of the weeks. We come off the weekend with, threats from President Trump. Then you come into Monday, you see oil prices, they skyrocket, then risk assets drop. Then somehow you now see recovery on Tuesday because there's some headway, with peace talks. Then we get hit back again with escalation.
So, one game changer for the crypto investors would have been the demand of Iran.
Right.
They were asking...
Using Bitcoin.
Yeah, using Bitcoin to pay, or at least crypto to pay for going through the passage. But of course, the US president would not have any of that. So I think that also doused some of the optimism that was coming from the path.
Maybe they should have used Donald Trump's meme coin.
Then they would have made him happy.
Yes.
And then he would have allowed
that.
Yeah, Larry, you should be a consultant.
Even though we know the meme coin has been hit hard.
Don't worry, we'll revive it.
This season. But let's get a check of what's playing out so far. Definitely, we did see some recovery yesterday, but let's get some more analysis from our correspondent, Maria Bird, giving us a summary from yesterday. Take a listen.
The U.S. stock market saw an upward tick on Tuesday as the Dow Jones was up at 0.6%. The heavy tech Nasdaq was also up at 2%, its 10th day in a row of a winning streak. As the S&P 500 also saw a positive tick on Tuesday as it was up 1.1%. As many investors are also hopeful that the U.S. president could be open to further discussions with Iran and Israel, as there appears to be a potential truce that could be underway. As the U.S. president remains open to further discussions, this could mean the U.S. economy could see recovery in the near future.
All right, and already today we're seeing pullbacks with major risk assets, likes of Bitcoin having a pullback from $75,000. Then we're also seeing some other risk assets actually pulling back too. But for the U.S. futures, mixed sentiment there. We'll see if, the sentiment we saw from yesterday continues to the close of trade today. But to other stories now, the United States is taking another step towards easing economic restrictions on Venezuela, issuing a new license that allows certain financial transactions with key Venezuelan banks. The move, announced by the U.S. Treasury, permits dealings with the country's central bank and major state-owned lenders that have been, largely cut off from global finance and sanctions were imposed in 2019. Officials say the decision is part of a broader strategy to stabilize Venezuela's economy and encourage investment, particularly as oil exports begin to recover. However, while negotiations are now allowed, full commercial deals will still require additional approvals, signaling that key restrictions remain in place. Japanese automaker Honda is recalling more than 440,000 vehicles in the United States over a potentially dangerous airbag defect. The recall affects Odyssey minivans, where a software glitch could trigger the side and curtain airbags to deploy unexpectedly, even without a crash. U.S. safety regulators say the issue poses a risk to drivers and passengers, with dealers set to fix the problem through a software update. The move highlights growing concerns around vehicle software reliability as modern cars become increasingly tech-driven. And to the currency market now, we see Asian currencies were showing modest gains today, while the U.S. dollar is losing momentum as markets react to rising geopolitical tensions and shifting economic signals. The greenback has stalled following the U.S. blockade of Iran, with investors now betting on possible de-escalation and reduced safe haven demand. At the same time, traders are closely watching upcoming U.S. inflation data, which could shape expectations for interest rates and global capital flows. With energy markets disrupted and inflation risk still elevated, currency markets remain on edge as investors weigh geopolitics against economic fundamentals. We see Bitcoin surge to a one-month high, climbing above $74,000 as a broader rally in risk assets that's lifted global markets at this time. But the world's largest cryptocurrency is rebounding strongly after recent volatility, supported by easing oil prices and improving investor sentiment. The rally comes as geopolitical tensions show signs of stabilizing, while softer U.S. inflation data is also boosting appetite for riskier assets. Analysts say the move reflects a wider shift back into equities and crypto, though uncertainty around global developments could still keep markets on edge. Definitely not easy trading around all that's playing out so far, but definitely investors still want to make that trade at this point. All right, we see French luxury giant Hermes is seeing a slowdown in sales growth as rising geopolitical tensions and weak demand in China. That's way on the high-end sector. The company reported softer first quarter performance with its shares falling after results missed market expectations. Analysts say the ongoing Iran conflict is hitting global tourism and luxury spending, particularly in key markets like the Middle East and Europe, while a fragile recovery in China is also limiting growth. Despite strong demand in the United States, the broader luxury industry now faces mounting pressure as geopolitical risk and shifting consumer trends that's clouding the outlook for the rest of the year. And to aviation now, passenger traffic at Frankfurt Airport has risen despite major disruptions, highlighting resilient travel demand. Europe's busiest aviation hub handled about 4.7 million passengers in March, marking a 2.1% increase year on year, even as strikes and geopolitical tensions weighed on operations. Industrial action by Lufthansa affected roughly 100,000 passengers, while conflicts in the Middle East sharply reduced traffic to that region. However, strong growth in routes to Africa and Asia that helped offset the impacts, underscoring shifting global travel patterns and steady recovery in international aviation. All right, so those are the top stories this morning, and definitely we're expecting more comments at this point. I've not been able to get on Truth Social yet, so I can get President Trump's comments firsthand before it circulates through the media. Then you can now make an informed investment.
Daddy, you have missed
decision.
out. How can you not be on Truth Social?
I'm not. We're not allowed.
That's where you should wake up, or you should use
right.
VPN or
it's
whatever.
Not working. I tried VPN. It didn't work.
Well,
Nigeria
is a country of, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Not my words.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, lad, one of the things I noticed is the widespread effects of the Middle East crisis. But we also see countries, yesterday, I mean, you made a big deal about China and the drop in their exports. Incredible. An increase in their imports. Which is very unlikely for a country like China, who pride themselves of consuming locally produced goods.
The industrial hub of the world.
Yeah, the industrial hub of the world. So the widespread effects of what's going on, whether it's from the Straits of Hormuz or in Iran itself and all of that, that's one thing. And you would also see that we cannot compare it to the war between Israel and the Palestinians. So I guess Iran, whether we like it or not, they hold a very precious place in the place of world economics. Right. And we are all feeling the pinch.
And I keep asking myself, before President Trump, Israel made that decision, to attack Iran, did they think about the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah.
I doubt that.
You know what they say about you plan an accident, but you don't know how far it will go. So you think you're only going to cause an accident to a country. You forget that you have a glass wall or glass.
All right, before anybody attacks anybody now, think.
Laddie, think first.
Think first.
All right, Laddie.